everybody, and welcome to SA Smart Chats. My name is Natasha Wilkerson. I am the co-chair of SA Smart, the Mayor's K-12 Smart City Challenge. So we are back here with another expert in tackling our competition theme of water. So thank you, Andrea Beymer, who is the Vice President of Engineering and Construction at the San Antonio Water System. She has over 20 years of experience in delivering water and wastewater projects. You've overseen the execution of the SAWS Capital Improvement Program, totaling more than $500 million per year and leading a team of 180 people. You have a Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering from Texas A&M University and a Master's of Science in Civil Engineering with an emphasis in water resources from the University of Texas at San Antonio. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And as I was telling you before we got on, my background is also in engineering, so I'm excited to get this angle on this challenge of water. So the first question is about the entire system. So I was actually talking to somebody who was giving us the number of miles of all the pipes of the water and wastewater system, which is massive. So the question is, what are local concerns with aging water and wastewater infrastructure, and how does this impact provide water service to customers?
We have over 13,000 miles of pipe in our system.
Wow.
We have one of the largest pipeline networks in the United States. Actually, I think we may even at this point be in the top three. Only Los Angeles and Houston, I think, are bigger than we are.
Wow.
So we have a mix of old pipes and new pipes, and we have some pipes that are as old as, late 1800s still in our system. And as we look at that replacement rate for pipes, we have to balance things in terms of affordability and need and risk as we look at replacing pipes and providing adequate and safe resources for our system. As we all know, when that pipe breaks, it interrupts service and people can't get that water to their front door. But what does that mean, and how do we do that in an affordable nature? So internally, we've been using certainly the technology has evolved over time, and we're using machine learning now, AI tools, but there's still a lot of growth and a lot of opportunity in this field, because ultimately we can't replace everything. We can't afford to. The city can't be torn up and under construction to replace everything. So it's figuring out the worst pipe and the highest risk pipe to fix first. And so that is the program that we're currently developing. And certainly it's an exciting program, and it involves a lot of disciplines, but something hopefully your students may have some interest in.
You mentioned AI programs. What does that mean? How does that look?
So there are machine learning programs that look at predictive tools. So they're looking at soil conditions, they're looking at pipe types, they're looking at pressure issues. And based on what we're giving them, and we give them information, we input as well information on where past main breaks have taken place, they can come in and with a predictive algorithm, start looking at where weaknesses in our system are. So we can look at, okay, that could be an area for a future main break. This is a pipe we need to address soon.
Very cool. Okay, so the students watched the launch that we did with the mayor, and he discussed this rapid growth within San Antonio. So how does SAWS plan for that growth from an engineering perspective? So sizing pipes, tanks, treatment facilities to meet the future needs of the city.
Yes, and again, I go back to computers. Computers are in our everyday life, but we have hydraulic models. We have a robust master plan, and we update our master plan on a 5-year basis based on growth projections, work with the city, local and state demographers as we look at that growth rate. Because when a water pipe comes in or when a tank comes in, we don't want it sized for just the immediate future. We need to look at ultimately what that growth, what that build out is going to be, because the last thing that we want is multiple pipe systems that have to be maintained, multiple tanks that have to be maintained, operated, staff addressing them all. We really want to fine tune that system and right size that So it's looking at data, which I think you had some folks who come and talk to you about data management. It's getting the right data, the right predictive tools, and making sure that as things change, we're adapting to that change over time.
One thing that's been brought up a lot is that winter storm that we experienced in San Antonio and across Texas last February. And so how can SAWS incorporate measures for increased reliability? So when something unexpected like that storm or other natural disaster happens, what can we do to be better prepared?
From an engineering perspective, we need to look at providing alternatives. Certainly, moving water is energy intensive. And I think we saw that when we lost power, it was difficult and at times impossible for us to move water. So having robust storage systems aren't necessary, but alternative energy sources as well. Can we have generators? Can we have dual feeds to some of our systems? So lots of challenges that we need to look at. In addition to just our systems themselves, how can we weatherize them? Most of our pump stations, I mean, this is South Texas. Most of the time it doesn't snow. We don't have freezing weather. So a lot of our facilities are outside. Does it make sense that we should enclose more of them? But enclosing them comes at a cost. So we need to do cost benefit analysis. Is it worth that added cost for the risk, and how much is that risk for a freeze to that magnitude? All things that have to be factored in.
And with such a large annual capital program, how do supply chain issues affect this program? And also defining what that means, because students might not be aware of what a supply chain issue is.
Absolutely. Well, we live in an interesting time with, I think we're on the second year of this COVID pandemic, and there have been issues with workforce. There have been issues with product handling, product production, as well as transportation. So with that, with those nuances, there are issues with getting supplies to our work sites. And sometimes we're seeing supply chain issues at the grocery store. You know, we all saw the toilet paper shortage in 2020. I highlighted, it's very similar to that. The water pipe shortage, where it's difficult for us to get some equipment like water pipe into our system, into our construction sites. Before, it would take, a couple months to get maybe a manhole from when we order it to the job site. Now it could take as much as 4 months to what was a 6-week delivery. It could be 4 months or greater. And those costs are also escalated. So when we're bidding projects out on the street, we have contractors then who are having to weigh that risk and that cost. Some of them aren't willing to do so right now because it could put them out of business. So also we're seeing higher bid costs. So it's taking longer to get projects done, and those bid costs are better. So looking at predictive tools and models to help navigate through this interesting time is going to be important for us, and I think for the state and nation as we grapple through these challenges.
And that's the message I'm getting from a lot of the different people we've talked with, is how complex this challenge of water is. And the things that you do at SAWS are affected by so many different factors. I was just talking to an expert in cybersecurity, and there's threats there. So it's kind of this big challenge that there's a lot of opportunities for the SA Smart teams to kind of pick what they want to focus on. And so one more question here for you. San Antonio faces unique challenges based on our topography with multiple soil types across the city. How does SAWS address this in building projects and moving water across the city?
And not only do we have roughly a 1,500-foot elevation difference across our system, multiple soil types, some of which are corrosion to certain pipe materials, we also have to look at balancing water chemistry for 9 different water sources in our system. Wow. So our system needs to be robust enough, flexible enough in order to handle all of that. Certainly, we can do some predictive tools. We can do testing. We need to see continued improvements just in terms of that materials market, but we also have to just be aware of what nuances we put where, what pipelines we put where, and how we can maximize our resources in order to provide environmentally sustainable solutions.
And I'm curious, how did you get into the water business?
I am a native San Antonian, and I actually grew up during some of the controversy with Edwards Aquifer. I grew up with that, and that's really what drove me to want to study water and to be a part of the water solution. You know, I was in high school when the whole Applewhite vote happened here in San Antonio, which was supposed to diversify our water supply and ultimately was voted down. I remember when there were concerns about key industries leaving San Antonio because we couldn't provide enough water. And it's been my honor and privilege to be a part of SAWS and to see our water portfolio grow and to see water security really grow and flourish over these last 20 years.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Andrea, for being here and talking with the students. Do you have any final thoughts or words for our SA Smart teams?
I do. I wish all the best of luck. I think water is a fascinating topic. I hope you do as well. You know, people don't really think about when they turn their faucet on, all that goes into all the planning and work and infrastructure that goes into bringing that water source to your tap, from the aquifer in our case, through the distribution system into your home. There is a lot of work and a lot of money that goes into it and a lot of expertise. So I hope you take that perspective and you think about it and you think what we can do to make it better and more efficient, because as time goes on and we have issues with climate and weather extremes, we're going to have to fine-tune how we do it and do it better. And you're the key to making that happen.
Yeah, great message. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Natasha.